Week 2 concludes with the Indianapolis Colts continuing their arcade-style scoring streak built upon in the second half at Los Angeles as they throw up 66 in their shootout victory over the Cardinals. The two teams traded blows and leads all game long, but an outburst of 35 points in the final quarter of play was enough to secure the home team's win. Once again, the defense stepped up big in the second half with forced fumble recoveries, only this time those turnovers secured a favorable end result. Both teams took to the air in this one, with former Jaguars quarterback Blaine Gabbert connecting on 26 of 27 passes for 463 yards. He found the end zone 6 times with no interceptions and earned a perfect passer rating. But his 6 TD game finds him in the same boat as Eli Manning's 6 touchdown game loss against the New Orleans Saints back on November 1st, 2015. The clash at Lucas Oil Stadium continued to mirror history of that particular game as Andrew Luck accomplished the same feat as Drew Brees, firing for 7 touchdown passes. But unlike Brees, Luck was fortunate enough to never turn the ball over on any of his 26 pass attempts. This milestone marks Luck as the 9th player to connect with his receivers in the end zone 7 times in a single regular season game, and the first to do it without giving up an interception since Nick Foles of the Philadelphia Eagles on November 3rd, 2013 against the Oakland Raiders. Andrew threw for 444 yards with a long of 86 yards to Kamar Aiken. He completed 73% of his passes and ate a single sack, earning a passer rating of 154.6. His best target for the day, once again, was T.Y. Hilton, who he connected with 6 times for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. The performance ensured the quarterback and his favorite receiver would lead the league in various categories. After this game, Luck now leads the league in passing yards and touchdowns, and his second week's performance earned him the AFC's Offensive Player of the Week award. Hilton leads the league in receiving yards and ranks second in touchdown catches despite ranking 28th in receptions with 10. While the air show was on full display, the run games for both teams were fairly respectable, with Chris Johnson coming a yard shy of 100 on his 13 carries. Meanwhile, Frank the Tank Gore battled for 87 yards on his 17 carries. The biggest discrepancy between the two backs was Johnson's fumble loss in the 4th quarter. Beyond that, the two trenches failed to provide big enough holes for either to explode for big gains. On the defensive side of the ball, neither side looked sharp. The Cardinals, however, have to be kicking themselves over the number of failed interception opportunities they did not convert on, as the team combined for 6 deflections. These takeaway opportunities proved to be the deciding factors in the Cardinals' loss, as 2 of these deflections were dropped interception attempts that could have halted drives that resulted in touchdowns. As the Colts prepare to host the 0-2 Cleveland Browns, the team continued preparations for the season's draft by further scouting key positions to rebuild strengths into. The organization will look to remedy the loss of their first 2 rounds in the Watt trade, but in the meantime continue to scout out running backs, offensive linemen, and defensive tackles. The team will also look to grab up a kicker to replace the 44-year-old Adam Vinatieri in later rounds. Scouting will favor the guards that provide strong presence in run and impact blocking, while offensive tackles will need to excel at the pass block. So far, the Colts are favoring right guard Casey Wright, though he's projecting to be a late first rounder. In preparation for this game, we look to the injury report where the Colts will march forward for 2 games without right guard Denzel Good as he continues to nurse a dislocated hip. Meanwhile, the Browns aren't as fortunate as they go 11 weeks without defensive tackle Danny Shelton as he suffers from a broken fibula. They will also be without tight end Seth DeValve for 2 more weeks as he is sidelined with a partial MCL tear. Indy's defense should look to have an easier time against the Browns as Cody Kessler has been poor this season, connecting on 35 of his 56 attempts. He's also turned the ball over 8 times and only found the end zone twice. Thus far in the season, he's thrown for 484 yards, only 40 more yards than Luck threw just this past week against the Cardinals. More worrisome for the Browns is they have yet to record an interception themselves, placing further emphasis on Kessler to be perfect to grant them a chance at victory. That draws the weekend preview to a close. Can the Colts continue to roll strong on their offensive outbursts, or will the Browns start to figure out their own issues to topple a defensively weak Indy team that's allowed a division high of 83 points? Colts, Browns, coming up next!